Hey everyone. I don't know about you guys, but I saw the announcements today and I thought I'd put these together. I couldn't write them backwards and it is hard to breathe or speak here. But I think what the directives that are coming through today from Dan Andrews are doing is causing these things within our people. And the first one I was going to talk about was oppression. And part of what happens when you put on these masks is you lose your voice, you lose who you are as a person, you lose your identity. And losing your identity makes it hard for people to pick up on your emotions and what you're actually bringing out to people. Um, I feel like oppressing society is easy to do when you put people behind a mask because you become expressionless. You become a part of the crowd, everyone walking together and being exactly the same. So, oppression is a big thing that comes about when people are made to wear masks like this. And you're talking about this happening for a disease that the figures were showing the rates of people dying worldwide are 0.26%. And yet we're oppressing our people by doing this. The next thing it does is submission. So by submitting to say, yes, I will do what you say, and to say, I will submit uh, to your needs and your wants. How many different directives have we seen along the way? From you must be inside to you must do it this way to you must do it that way. And people asking to go into lockdown again for a disease that's 0.26% of the population that it's killing. Now, we have the facts and figures showing that masks like these ones cause people to breathe in their own carbon dioxide. Now, breathing in your own carbon dioxide is one of the most dangerous things that you can possibly do. Are you the kind of person that's going to submit to something like that? So that's submission. The other thing these masks cause is division. So you start looking at people in society, the ones wearing the masks versus the ones not wearing the masks. Now, you start to look down on people if you're of one narrative and they're of another narrative, it causes division within the community. We, at this stage in our journey, the last thing we need is division. We need to understand that the people that aren't wearing masks, it's no different to pro choice with your vaccinations and other things. These masks mean that you're breathing your own carbon dioxide. It causes dizziness, vertigo, tetanus, so many different things and can possibly be lethal as well. But the biggest thing I find that it causes is division amongst people, because you'll have people following one narrative and people following another. They're no longer allowing us to make our own choices in this world anymore. I can barely breathe actually right now. So um, there you go. Someone's saying there, Sylvia, my husband wears a mask due to working with dust and glass particles, and he always has the same lung issues. Definitely not good. We don't want to cause division. And we saw it this week with the commission homes as well, the divide that it causes. And look at the fact you don't know people's expressions. I'm a smiling kind of person, and you'll never know when I'm wearing one of these if I'm smiling or not. Oh. So the next one I've got on my list is fear. Fear, fear, fear. Now, what fear allows with a government or a narrative is people to be divided. So, fear works alongside everything else. When you're fearful and when you are wrong with fear, your immunity drops lower than ever before. So, compile fear with lack of oxygen, breathing your own carbon dioxide, seeing everyone else walking around in masks as well, you end up with the government as well that can pretty much run any narrative they want. Because when people are working from a place of fear, fear allows control. I can barely breathe. Suddenly thinking it was a bad idea. How do people do this all day? Well, this one's really opened up. Sadness. This is my last one. So sadness. So you look at someone's face in one of these, and there's no way you can see happiness. There's no way you can think that there's a happy narrative happening. It doesn't matter if they're talking with their eyes. And what happens when you're wearing one of these is quite often you're looking down. You're looking down because you feel like the submissive, you feel oppressed, you feel all these things that I've written down, division, you feel all these feelings when you're wearing one of these masks, oppressed, submission, division, fear, and sadness. They all come through because when you are looking down all the time in that submissive state, it causes sadness in your heart as well. And I feel like this disease at 0.26, they don't even know. Initially, they're saying it's not airborne. Now they're saying it's airborne. They keep on changing this narrative as well. And the biggest thing this is doing is making me breathe in my own carbon dioxide over and over again. So the biggest thing that I would suggest to people is drop the masks and smile. Be yourself. Be natural. Break free. Because what's better than seeing someone smile? What's better than seeing the expressions on someone's face and spreading love? Because a smile is worth 1,000 words. And all of us need to be able to do this. Can you see the difference now between being in there where I can barely breathe and you can barely hear anything I say, to now when you're expressing yourself in the right way? Every single one of us has the choice. Every single one of us has the decision to go with the narrative, whichever way we want to go. Because if we submit to this, we're setting ourselves up for a lifetime of submitting to the rule of thumb, even if it makes no sense. We need to critically think. We need to be aware that there's so much more going on out there than what we're seeing. Remember, this disease is killing 0.026% of people worldwide. It's got one of the lowest death rates. It's lower than the flu, seasonal flu at the moment. So the fact that people are wearing masks everywhere is just ridiculous in my opinion. And the fact that Dan Andrews is pushing people to do it more makes no sense. I was going to talk to you guys quickly about a few other things as well. Went out to North Melbourne today, out to the Alfred Street units or flats, and we dropped off the paperwork for them to see. So they've got the ombudsman's paperwork again. I don't know if someone can put up the paperwork for the ombudsman. The other thing they've got is all the paperwork for mental health as well. And that's all over there. That's all over there at the Alfred Street apartments. They're still in lockdown, but we're working in the background. There's a class action getting started right now. The man's name, he's an amazing person who's starting this class action, the first of many, Ian Cunliffe. It's an unusual name. So Ian Cunliffe is starting a class action, a legal hard lockdown of my clients. I serve in particular hundreds of clients of East African descent in inner Melbourne, including clients in the lockdown at the Alfred Tower. On their behalf, after putting the Victorian Governor on notice, I'm complaining to IBAC and the Victorian Human Rights Commission about the treatment of clients. That is so good, so good. And what we're going to do is he's going to push this through. We've got everyone submitting to him as well to give him information. So we've got a huge class action coming. And that's not the only one. There's going to be more, because what they did broke every human rights law in Australia. And I told you guys that we're going to get on top of this. And here we are, and we're going to do it. Now, out of the Alfred Street today, I found it very, very surprising and a little bit frustrating that suddenly today there was legal aid there. And we haven't had legal aid there for the last 6 days. When the people needed it the most, it just wasn't there. So today there was legal aid floating around. The people were actually just telling them to go away because we've already worked our own things out. The people have risen up and spoken, and we're going to do the most amazing things now for these communities. And as I said yesterday, they're never going to be forgotten again. And I have made my vow that I'm going to be there every single day, and I'm going to be there every single night. And I'm going to work within that community now, if they'll accept me, to be, a part of their communities going forwards, helping with mental health issues, helping with sporting initiatives. There's so much we can do, and we're going to be there now without a doubt. We're never going to back down and let these guys suffer by themselves again. Now, I did some readings today as well of that area, the Alfred Street area, where, so firstly, out of all the nine buildings that went into lockdown, 3 of them didn't have any cases of COVID-19 at all. So let's have a think about this. They locked down, a harsh lockdown at 4 p.m. on Saturday, 9 housing commission flats, saying that they traced COVID-19 back to them. In the announcement late last night and early today, 3 of those commission flats had no cases of COVID-19. So why were those 3 locked down at all? If there were no cases traced back to them and they were held in for this time frame for the 5 days, and then when the tests were all complete, there were no positive tests, why were they ever held down? Why were they ever locked up? It's a huge mistake on the part of the government, and they'll be held accountable. Don't worry, they'll be held accountable. We're not going to let this move forwards. And the private apartment was all clear as well. But, you know, the private apartments, I don't think they've even been tested yet. I would actually love to find a mandate where we could make them test the people in the private apartments and see how many people come back with COVID-19. Now, the other thing, and people are saying to me, you know, there's more of a narrative. I know there's more of a narrative. They want that land. They want that land more than anything else. It's worth trillions of dollars, the land in North Melbourne and the land in Flemington, for them to redo it. Now, the other thing that I found today, I went out there with my EMF reader. So we basically work on a 5G platform page that's teaching people about health and teaching people about all the air around them and the electro smog that's out there. Now, I run that EMF reader, and at Flemington, in the areas where there was no COVID-19, nothing. Outside that Alfred Street apartment block, my radar was going off the scales. It would not stay on. It was going beyond 20 milliwatts. So the safe levels are between 1 and 10. That Alfred Street apartment has a giant dish across from it going straight into the height of the rooms, going beyond 20 milliwatts per meter squared constantly. So if you want something to come up as a COVID-19 type case, that milliwattage is going to give people shortness of breath and flu-like symptoms. So I'll be following that one up as well. But the biggest thing we want to do is be here for the people still. And I just wanted to say to you guys, with the way that this narrative and the changes that are happening every day, the fact that they're saying you have to wear these things, and lose your identity is disgusting. And while they're doing that, they're putting up these surveillance cameras in every shopping center, on every corner, every street light that you pull up to. You're going to now see these facial recognition cameras. The idea of these is you put your face down, because once you have this on and you're submitting, you're looking down. You're looking down all the time, because the feeling that you get when you put one of these things on is that you feel like you're a lesser person. So you will look down. You'll stop thinking critically again, because if you're waking up, this is the first thing that will put you to sleep. Having this on 24/7 literally puts you to sleep. You're breathing carbon dioxide and it's just numbing your brain. And if they are talking about a time where our immune system has to be at its best, and they're talking about a time where we need to be at our healthiest, we need good sleep, because sleep is when our body rejuvenates. I know this week I've barely slept at all, so I look like I've come out of a trash can or something, Oscar the Grouch. But good sleep, good food, so getting good food into you. And you got to think about what happened in these commission flats. They weren't sleeping well because there were alarms and sirens and everything going all the time. They couldn't eat properly because there was no food getting sent through to them. And now they're talking about us all putting on masks. So covering ourselves so we can't breathe. These are the worst possible things for our immune system, and they go against every bit of advice that I would ever give. And I'm not a doctor or a scientist at all. I just research a lot, day and night. And we don't want to be feeling this way. I don't want to have my friends or family, as much as this is a bad flu, perhaps, I don't want people walking around in masks feeling defeated all the time. We're an army. We're an army of amazing, hugely compassionate people. And we should be walking forth with confidence now because we made a difference here. I feel like in these commission flats, by the people inside talking to the people on the outside, they tried to stop us. They tried to say it was going to be 14 days with an extra 10 if you didn't do the test. And in the end, 2,500 tests were done, but there was closer to 10,000 people in those flats. So the misreporting is going to come up in these class actions as well, because they said 3,000 people in those flats, closer to 10,000. They got 2,500 tests, which they think is a win. So many people said they wouldn't be tested because in the end, we, the people, have a voice and we need to be heard. So I think the poor elderly are so scared a lot wear masks. And I see that as well. And imagine as an elderly person who's already got probably compromised lungs from breathing a lot through all that time. If you're wearing a mask, it takes away from how much breath you get into your lungs all the time. If you're elderly and you're sick already, then the mask is going to make it worse. And they want these numbers to continue to go up because where they're turning on these 5G systems, EMF and everything else around Australia, where they're doing all of this, they need the figures to go up so they can cover what they're doing because they need to have these automated cars and all these things. And we're not going to let it happen because we're going to continue to talk beyond any of this. We're the media now. And what happened in those towers was because we got on site and started reporting from on the site, and because the people inside were smart enough to report out what was going on, and we could get it onto social media into front of thousands of people, we literally had thousands and thousands of people standing up and saying that can't continue to happen. They thought because it was the more vulnerable people or the lower socioeconomic people that everyone wasn't going to rise up. And they were wrong because all of us are going to be a voice for each other from now on. And I say to you guys, these things, they're madness. Get rid of them. Throw them away. Fear, oppression, all of that stuff, anxiety, gone out the window, in the bin, never to be seen again. And then we move forwards as a society and we love each other more than ever. And we spread kindness instead of fear. We spread love instead of hate. All these things we can do and change the way this narrative goes because we are the storytellers here. And we should be sharing each other's stories of love and compassion and getting that out there. I watch the media out at these places and I watch the way they work. The media comes in like a shitstorm to pick up the protesters and they pick up the bad stuff. And, oh, she's separated from her baby. We're not going to help you in any way get back to your baby, but we're going to put it all over the news because it's such a big story. No, fuck you, media. Honestly, you're in cohorts with all the politicians and we don't want to see your shit anymore. So we're not going to watch. We're not going to wear the masks. Unless you're severely immune compromised and you're scared and worried that you're going to get sick from this because you're already sick, that's where I would say maybe wear a mask. But get one that breathes properly. The rest of you that are healthy and eating well and sleeping well, your immune system is going to be fucking amazing. And you should be able to get through this without it. And again, I'm not a scientist and I'm not a doctor and I'm not a lawyer. We're just people being the voice for other people. Now, those people don't need our voices anymore. They're the strongest people I've ever seen, these people in these community houses. They're some of the most amazing people that I've ever met in my whole entire life. I'm humbled to feel that they may allow me to be part of their community and they may allow me to be a part of what they do. And I spoke today about some of the people out there on the ground. There was a group called the Sikh, S-I-K-H, which is an Indian word, Sikh volunteers. They were there from day one, handing out food and drinks to every single person out there. There were so many volunteers of different backgrounds, Spanish, Indian, Somali, every kind of person you could imagine volunteering there. And you people did such an amazing job in an area where you thought you may even be putting yourselves at risk. I think I'm getting bad breathing things going on from these masks. They are going straight in the bin, I swear to God. The people on the ground doing these amazing things, you deserve every bit of applause. You deserve hugs. You deserve love. You would have been going home exhausted each night. There were people that I saw there that were there from 8 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night every single day. And your efforts are what drive us to make the other people accountable, because we are stronger than anyone that can try to oppress us. And we are now the media. And we are going to keep telling these stories. If you hear of anyone who's getting put away into lockdown, if you hear of anyone that's getting their human rights not heard, you need to shout out to myself, and you need to shout out to our group. This is our group's name, the UnitedCollective.org. And we're all about being the change that everyone wants to be. And we're here for everyone, because united, we can do anything. And I told you from the start of this, 5 days ago, they're going to try and divide us. But we're still like this. 5 days later of trying to divide us through race, trying to divide us through religion, trying to divide us through every means possible, we're still united. And that means going forwards, they cannot do anything to break us down, because as a united front across race or religion, across lower socioeconomics, higher ones, if we stay united, we're going to grow. We're going to grow as a country. We're going to grow as people, and we will be smiling. Smiling is the most important thing. It lowers your cortisol. It grows your immunity. So I say, walk up to someone, smile at them without a mask on, and keep your social distance, because that's what we're being told to do. And if this is a bad flu, I probably don't even want to catch the flu. Do you want to catch the flu? No one wants to catch the flu. So keep your distancing if you need to. But honestly, think critically, do what you think is right for you, and let's keep growing as a community. Don't forget what has happened in the last 5 days. Don't forget that there's still people there in a hard lockdown. Keep loving each other more than ever before. Keep sharing these stories and getting them out to as many people as you can, and realize we can be a positive change in each other's lives, and we can be a positive change outwardly to those other people that need it as well. Now, we have our news coming up tomorrow, our video that's been made from all the stuff we picked up through the last 5 days, and you'll actually get a better understanding of how much of a cock up this was by the government, and how many times they were changing their narrative, including today saying everyone should be wearing masks, and they're buying 2 million masks in. The 2 million masks they bring in don't even work. They're not even the right masks. So be wise, be humble, love each other more than ever before. Let's be here for each other, and no more fear. There should not be any more fear. Don't be scared of what you're seeing or hearing in the news. 200 more cases of the flu is 200 more cases of the flu. Let's move forwards. Let's be stronger than ever before, and let's spread love and kindness everywhere. Peace.